Before we get into this video, we need to very quickly talk about why there's no UFC upload tonight. There's no UFC upload tonight because the UFC site, I do believe 2 fighters are going to be new to the UFC this weekend. I don't want to go down a whole rabbit hole of who these guys are and that right now. No disrespect to them, but it's going to be a lot of work. I haven't given myself enough time to look at them, which I do regret, but there's not much I can do now. We are looking at Floyd Money Mayweather versus John Gotti III, the rematch. Let's get right into the video, but before we do, make sure you like, comment, subscribe, share, and follow, and hit the bell icon to get notified whenever I upload. Let's go. So what I want to do in this video is go back to the past. We're going to go look at the first fight that they had, which I do believe was last year. I don't remember if it was, I think it was after the Deji fight. Floyd fought again, he fought against Gotti, and this is what happened in their last fight. I watched the whole fight. I've written down what happened in the whole fight, so please bear with me for this video. And at the end of the video, we're going to talk about what Floyd needs to do to win and what John Gotti probably needs to do to win. So let's start with how the first fight played out. It went 6 rounds out of the 8, and it was 2 minutes per round, an exhibition, classic exhibition fight. In round 1, I put that John Gotti looked a bit stiff while Floyd Mayweather looked loose. Floyd started very quick, working the body, working the head, doing what Floyd does, you know, showboating, with the hands down, the low guard. Floyd started to unload shots around the 1 minute and 22 seconds mark, and Gotti missed with a jab, and then Floyd steps in and gets caught with the check left hook from Gotti. Gotti's best punch in this whole fight is a check left hook. The man times that check left hook to perfection. As the fight goes on, he misses it quite a bit, but for his first punch, it lands. Floyd was kind of off balance at the time anyways, because he was going through his arsenal of shots, and he just circles out for a little bit and then comes back in. Floyd proceeds with his hands down as the crowd chants Gotti and starts to unload on Gotti, and Gotti catches Floyd off guard, this time with a jab. So there we go, Gotti started doing something. This is one thing I had an issue with Gotti. He didn't do too much in the fight. In the fight, he was kind of waiting for Floyd, seeing what he can do. With Floyd, you can't wait. You need to force Floyd to reset so that Floyd can't put off any of his output, has to be forced to defend. That's the issue with all these fighters who go against Floyd. They go, I'm gonna start off fast, and then Floyd comes in with his stance and you're like, okay, I don't want to start off just in case he's doing something. But with Floyd, you have to start fast. You have to put a statement on Floyd to make Floyd respect you. Floyd has no respect for any of his opponents. Look at his past fights, he fights the same. He has no respect for any of them because none of them show him to have respect. And whenever someone puts pressure on him or hits him with something devastating, that's when he starts to step up a bit. That's when he starts to, because it's like, he plays a bit of possum in this fight. In all his fights, he plays a bit of possum. He just lightly taps you, moves around, sits on the back foot, and as soon as you crack him, he goes, okay, now I'm going to stop playing possum and I'm going to start actually hitting you with my proper power, my proper punches. If this wasn't an exhibition, I gave that round a 10-8 to Floyd. Gotti only done like 2 to 3 things in that round. I don't believe he done enough to win that round convincingly at all, or to even make a statement, and I feel like Floyd made a statement in that round. Moving on to round 2, Gotti was on the front foot to start. He got a bit too wild, and then Floyd starts running around, talking to him, playing around with him, doing what Floyd does. This is what that whole fight was. It's Floyd doing what he does, and Gotti kind of being what he is, an MMA guy, and taking too long to start. Eventually in that round they clinch, and Floyd starts landing, while Gotti, he is landing, but Floyd's kind of going 1, 2, 3, moving around, then landing a few more, moving around, while Gotti's just trying to land the right hook. Like, every single time he kept trying to land that right hook. Yes, it landed, but he wasn't doing too much to probably sway the judges. If I was seeing that, I'm going, Floyd's landing more, he's controlling the clinch as well. Floyd's clearly winning that. As they leave the clinch, Gotti goes back on the back foot. This whole fight, it's just Gotti on his back foot for some reason. He had to control Floyd a little bit, which he didn't do. And Floyd doing what he does, where he has the hands low, moving his head, looking to see where he can land shots. And Gotti's just got the high guard. That's the issue about Gotti as well. He would occasionally have a low guard, which was probably his best guard throughout the fight. But then he'd go back to the high guard, and that's where Floyd would start unloading shots, is when he had the high guard. Floyd kind of sees that as a weakness, I think, in my opinion, from what I've seen. Floyd kind of sees the high guard as a weakness. That's where he starts taking his advantages. If you've got the guard low, Floyd kind of tends to be a bit more on his feet. He seems to be thinking a little bit more. But after that round, I gave it a 10-9 to Floyd. Gotti did better, but Floyd controlled and outlanded in that round. In round 3, Floyd starts to play possum a lot more in this round. Starts retreating with a high guard of his own, letting Gotti get some confidence. That's how I started feeling. I feel like Floyd was just letting him get his confidence so that he could eventually destroy him. Floyd was landing a lot cleaner and a lot faster shots throughout this round, especially on the back foot. He did quite well on the back foot. They clinch and the ref separates, going once again on the back foot and another clinch. And then they separate again. But this time they go toe-to-toe in the center. Again, Floyd just outworking him, landing the uppercuts. Gotti didn't really land any uppercuts. Floyd went through his whole arsenal that he could. Gotti, his main punch was a jab, backhand, or a hook. A left or right hook. I don't remember seeing any. There was a few times where he threw an uppercut. There was one cheap shot where he threw an uppercut. He held the head down and then uppercut Floyd. It was a good shot. I said Gotti needs to open up more and keep it, but also keep it tucked in. Not like high guard tucked in, but a bit more shoulder guard. Because then I'd keep Floyd a little bit more aware of what could be coming back at him. So have a little bit of a shoulder guard, maybe put this guard on your chin, which is the classic boxing, is the chin with the guard probably about there, so that you can still see above the shots, but it's also, you can very quickly just move your hands. And then again, he lands another check left hook, and it was very good. His best punch to the end, Gotti ran towards Floyd with 2 punches. They missed, but Floyd was only going backwards. That was one thing I kept seeing about Floyd. Whenever Gotti would kind of run in with shots, Floyd would stay in a straight line, move back. Now, Floyd's a lot more experienced. We know that. That's a fact. Floyd's a lot more experienced than most of these guys nowadays. But the fact that he just went straight back, if Gotti had a bit more ring IQ, this guy's just going straight. You want to kind of pivot out to the side, force him to go backwards into a corner. Because every time that he'd get Floyd up against the ropes, Floyd would move his head, slip and roll, step off to the side and move out. Gotti was smart. He could have feinted some shots, stepped in, and forced Floyd to go back. Now, Floyd also had a part to play in that. Floyd had no respect for the power, so he could have just ran at Gotti whenever he wanted to, landed shots whenever he wanted to. But if Gotti did what he did there, where he ran at Floyd and he forced him into a corner, obviously there was I think it was 5 seconds left, so he didn't have enough time to do anything with it. But I feel like that was a key thing. Okay, Floyd's only going to go back. He doesn't just do this once. He does it 2 more times later on in the fight. And it's Gotti took advantage of it, but he also didn't in a way. He took advantage and got him back up against the ropes, but didn't take advantage and get him up against the corner where he could have started unloading some shots, start working. Because with Floyd, you need to land power shots. Fuck the speed. He's going to be faster. Floyd is always going to be faster. You have to time him to perfection though. Floyd's main shots in that fight was an uppercut or the jab. You catch the jab. Remember, you're not going to be faster than him, so probably have a bit of the Conor McGregor style where you had the guard there so that you can catch the jab, throw your own shots, probably slip off to the side, cut an angle, and just start working him. Obviously, it's a lot more easier for me to sit here and say that. In there, it must be terrifying because of his record. But you can't let that record, you can't let Floyd's experience take over. You can't you can't fear Floyd. As soon as you start fearing that man, that's when he starts to take advantage, and I feel like that's where he done this. He put fear in Gotti, and Gotti got outclassed, which was expected for an MMA guy. Of course he was going to get outclassed. I gave that one a 10-9 to Floyd. Again, the same as last round. Floyd's playing around with Gotti, and Gotti just isn't working hard enough. He just isn't having enough output to win a round. In round 4, a double jab start from Gotti, which was good. It was very good. That's what he needed. Touch up, start, double jab. You haven't really got to land against Floyd at this moment in time. You've got to back him up into a corner so that you can land the shots. Because if you're in a corner, you are very limited to how you can move. Of course, with Floyd and Gotti, it wouldn't be very limited for Floyd. He could just, take a few and then circle out. You do not want Floyd on the front foot at all. In any of his fights, you don't want him on the front foot. Floyd can work on the back foot, but he doesn't do as well. He did very well in a pass round on the back foot, but he had angles to cut. He had positionings to move to. He could have done all of that. In a corner, you are very limited to 2 ways out, or 3 if you're going straight forwards at him. But I don't recommend that one. Gotti then steps in with a jab and gets countered with Floyd with a right hand. Gotti then backs up Floyd, landing more, but Gotti counters with a left hook. Gotti backs up and Floyd starts landing more, as he always does. But Gotti lands a nice counter left hook again. He's landing his counter left hook. He's timed the left hook. I wish he'd done it more. I wish he would use it a bit more. He used it a few times. You were doing very well countering with that. He wasn't really defending it that well. There was no quick switches from Floyd. That counter would land, Floyd would get caught off balance, and you'd see he'd kind of not stumble, but he'd hop away for a few seconds and then come back in. Of course, that's Floyd's way of making you build your confidence so that he can use that against you in the later rounds. After that, Gotti and Floyd meet in the middle, trading shots. Floyd has the better of the exchange. Gotti gets backed up again and clinches and lands a cheap uppercut. I think this is the first time where the ref gets annoyed at their clinching, where he says, if this happens again, I'm calling it. Floyd lands a back of the head shot and Gotti protests and Floyd lands on a right hook. Floyd is a cheap fighter. That's what he does, man. If you land a cheap shot on him, he's gonna do it back. It happens in his fights. It's what he does. You just have to be more cautious. Like, you have to know he's gonna do that. If you land a cheap shot, you can't leave yourself open, because Floyd, if the ref does not say stop, and even if the ref does say stop, you have to be alert at all times, because Floyd just doesn't care. So you have to be alert at all times to not get caught by anything like that, because that's where Floyd, as we've seen, he's dropped guys from who weren't aware of his shots. When ref calls pause into play, he still lands them shots and he drops you and he probably knocks you out from them. That's when your awareness is at its lowest, and that's where Floyd takes most of his advantages. That round, again, 10-9 to Floyd. This is his best. This is Gotti's best round so far, but Floyd plays with him with his hands down. That sounds bad. It's not in that way. We move on to round 5. Gotti is following Floyd. Throughout this whole fight, Gotti is just following him. He ain't cutting off the ring. He ain't causing angles. He ain't forcing Floyd back in angles that would push him up against the corner. Floyd backs up to the ropes, and now Floyd starts to stalk Gotti. So he gets backed up, Gotti lands a few. As Floyd does, he counters, and then Gotti backs up. This happens throughout the whole fight. Gotti doesn't move off the ropes, and he stays in the same place. Now, this is something I started to watch and learn over time of the fight. When Gotti would get back up to the ropes, he'd kind of stay there. His head would occasionally move off the center line. He wouldn't cut an angle to get out of it. He'd wait for Floyd to back up for him to move. He didn't really stick a jab out there, pivot off, and then circle out, which is annoying when you're watching a fight against Floyd, because you know that Floyd could probably struggle if you're forcing him to reset, and Gotti did not force him to reset at all during this fight. Floyd and Gotti clinch again, and they start talking shit to each other. Floyd misses, and Gotti pushes him on the back foot. That was good. He forced Floyd to miss, and Floyd was like, oh, okay, he's just going to chill for a minute. And then Gotti starts to showboat Floyd, which we all know Floyd fucking hates it when you showboat to him. Deji done the same thing. He thought he'd end the fight. Logan done the same thing. He struggled to end that fight. But as soon as these guys start showboating, you notice Floyd is like, okay, now I've got to turn up the pace a little bit. I get that one at 10-9. Floyd was landing more devastating shots and controlling the ring. And then we move on to the final round. Round 6. Gotti starts with the jab, moving forward, even more cautious, but landing on the guard, which is okay. If you're landing on his guard, that's fine. But you can't, as soon as you land on that guard, you need to have something ready, because you're setting him up, right? That jab to the guard, he's going to catch it and be like, he's just going to jab me again. And that's what he done. Just jabbed him again. Gotti didn't really feint anything, set anything up. Floyd didn't really feint or set anything up in this fight really as much either. With Gotti, he didn't really feint or set anything up. I wish that he would jab to the head, work the body, because that's what Floyd was doing a lot, was working the body, beating the ribs out of Gotti. And then Gotti clinches, and it starts to frustrate Floyd. Floyd hated the clinch, because what Gotti would do is he'd hold his head down, and he wouldn't land shots at this point. He would just hold his head down and circle out, and Floyd would just land them uppercuts to the ribs. And then due to neither guy letting go, the ref ends the fight, but Gotti goes after Floyd, and he actually opens up. Like, he actually starts landing shots. He lands a 1-2, which was nice, but I just wish he had done that in the fight. That moment that the ref called it off, he showed no fear. He went, I'm gonna fuck you up now. I wish he'd done that in the fight. If he went, not hands down, if he had the nice, tight, putting guard, loose, and he actually started working a bit more, I feel like he could have probably not won or knocked out Floyd. He probably could have hurt Floyd, but I wish that he'd just opened up a little bit more. And I gave that round a 0-0. No one won the fight or this round. Not only due to it being an exhibition, but because the ref called it off, because neither guy would let go. So what do I think needs to happen in this next fight? Gotti needs to cut angles. He needs to force Floyd to reset. He needs to push Floyd back. He needs to open up more and land cleaner shots. He needs to feint. He needs to work. He can't stand in front of Floyd and take these shots. Not because he'll get knocked out, but because Floyd is just going to outwork him and outpace him at all times. Gotti needs to stay on his toes at all times, just cutting angles, forcing Floyd back. Floyd, if Gotti does all that, Floyd needs to continue doing what he done in this fight. Stay stay loose and open up. Just keep opening up. Keep forcing Gotti back. Feint a lot. And jab your way to a victory. Of course, it's an exhibition again, I do believe. But just jab him. Because he seems to struggle when you hit him. So just jab him and then land the uppercuts to the body. The body shots were definitely damaging Gotti a lot. So I feel like work the body for the first few rounds and then mix it up with the head. And I believe Floyd could probably stop Gotti. I hope not, but we'll have to wait and see. I will also give my predictions for this Saturday on the UFC predictions. So tune in then. But thank you all for joining me. This is just my thoughts and my opinions. What do you guys think? Who do you think wins and how do you think they win? Apart from that, I'll catch you in a bit. Take care and peace.